Hello and welcome. My name is Ali Meehan. I'm founder of Costa Women, the largest online tribe of women living in Spain or heading this way. Today, our Make It Happen interview is sponsored by Casa Expat, who offer a range of insurance products for your expat life in Spain. You can find them at casaexpat.com. Well, I'm delighted to be joined by a lady who gets younger every time I meet her. I don't know how she does it, but maybe she'll let us in on the secret a bit later. In today's Make It Happen interview, I'm talking to Masha Malka, who has defied the odds throughout her life, leaving the only life and country she's known. Masha's life turned upside down when her family fled the Soviet Union. Masha is now an international recognized author, speaker, and a life and executive coach to hundreds of clients who have been given by Masha the unique ability to understand what it takes to turn your life around. Masha, good morning.
Good morning, Ali. It's great to be here with you.
Great to see you. And you've got the most beautiful backdrop. So tell me where you are and how you ended up living there.
Well, I'm specifically in Puerto Banús. Those who live on Costa del Sol would probably know what it is. I usually do my interviews from my office, but I thought it's a gorgeous day and we live in a beautiful place, and why not show it off?
Absolutely. No, great. So how did you end up living in Marbella?
Well, I've been here, believe it or not, for over 20 years. And the reason how I ended up here, I was living in Miami, where I immigrated from the Soviet Union, as you mentioned. And I got married in Miami, and then we decided that we wanted to start a family to have children in Europe. We didn't know where, but we just wanted it to be in Europe. So we actually lived in different countries, in Austria, in Vienna, in London, in Bulgaria. And then we found this beautiful town called Marbella, which we thought was perfect, like ideal to raise children in so many ways. And so that's what we did. We had 3 children. They were all born here. And now they're 19, 15, and 11.
Wow.
So, but it's just, it's one of those little paradises that when you go away and you come back and you think, like, I can't think of a better place. It's just perfect.
Yeah. So as I mentioned at the very beginning, you do look younger every time I see you. So is there a tip?
Thank you. Yes, actually, I think the tip is that it's our inner world shows on the outside. It's what we feel, the thoughts that we're thinking. It affects actually how we look. And so if we thinking negative thoughts or angry thoughts or resentful thoughts, sad and so on, it will show, and it ages you as well. This energy, every emotion carries energy, and I will touch the topic of emotions in a minute when I talk about my book. But every emotion carries energy, and low vibrations, make you feel, older as well. And then, of course, if you see the beauty and the wonder and everything, no matter what happens, and you're just happy because you wake up alive, and then, of course, you add to that everything else, you can walk, you can see, you can talk, there's so many things we can be grateful for. So when you live in a space of gratitude and love and joy, then it reflects in how you look.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you totally on that one. And you mentioned briefly your book. So here we have your book. So it's Mastering Your Emotions, which is the one that goes snap. Masha lent me a copy of this book, and it's fabulous because it has action steps in it all the way through. So very short chapters, very easy to read in our very fast-paced world that we have here. But it has action steps. So every day you could just read a very brief chapter and do some action steps. So tell me more about how you actually created this 1-minute coach guide.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the 1-minute coach system, I call it, was designed about 12 years ago. And the way it happened is that I used to deliver a lot of, and I still do, deliver a lot of workshops and seminars. My background is actually education. I was teaching in schools and universities later. But specifically when it comes to attending seminars or workshops, people go with this great intention to get better, to learn, to change their life, to move it to another level. And they invest time, money, effort, and then what I notice is that majority of people, huge majority of people, go back to their day-to-day life, and they just get swallowed up by, but everything that happens, and they forget most of the things they learned. They is not consistent in applying, and that's quite normal, because that life takes over. But I wanted to do something to help at least the people who were my students or attended my seminars, to help with that situation. And so I started sending them very short, because everybody's busy, like you said. There is an information overload. Nobody needs more information. We need to be more choosy about what we focus on. So very short messages reminding them of what they learned during the training, and then giving specific action steps, because again, like you mentioned, information is everywhere. We're not lacking information. What we're lacking is actually taking action, taking consistent action on what we're learning. This is right. These days is the most important, is the actions that you take, and understanding what actions to take. So to make it as easy as possible, I give specific action steps on a very short bit of information that people can easily apply, immediately that same day or throughout the week or so on. And then I would send another message with different action steps. And this way, the change is consistent and they're applying what they learn. So after a while, these messages, and I call them the 1 minute coach messages, because they were no longer than a minute. After about a couple of years, people started asking me to put it in the book, because they loved the messages and they used to forward it to their friends, and I got quite a big list of subscribers. And they said, we love your messages, but we print them out and they now like falling out and we can't find the right message. Can you please put it in the book? And to be honest, I used to major in mathematics and exact science. I mean, writing and languages was never my strong point. So I thought to myself, me, an author, just doesn't go, just 2 and 2 doesn't go together. But I do like to make things easy for people, and I like to help. And after the third time, my friend said to me, Masha, please, just put it in the book. I thought, okay, I should just find a way to, to make it as a guide. And so my first book, called The 1 Minute Coach, Change Your Life 1 Minute at a Time, came out 11 years ago, a little bit more now than 11 years. It became a bestseller, which was like a shock. So I was really happy with that. And people loved this format because, like you said, every chapter is a standalone chapter. In fact, you can use it as a reference guide. Just open on any page, get a message. Like I'll open it here. It says, the pleasure of feeling valued. And it's all about why we need to feel valued and how to feel valued, how to make other people feel valued, and so on. This one is the pain of jealousy in the relationship. So I'm talking now about the second book, which came out actually March this year. And it's called The 1 Minute Coach to Mastering Your Emotions. I'm planning to do a series of books under the same umbrella, using the same system. So this one is to Mastering Your Emotions. And that came about because I went through a very difficult separation, divorce. Basically, the reason why it was so difficult is because I ended up facing my biggest fear. And that's, the fear of being abandoned or the fear of being alone. And I think a lot of people will probably relate to that. And it was very hard for me. In fact, much harder than immigrating when I was 17. And I used to think that was the hardest thing, but this was by far the hardest thing. But, like everything in life, the bigger the obstacles, and, we're never given an obstacle that we don't have the tools to overcome it. So, but when and sometimes I tell my clients and my friends who really going through tough times, I say to them, the reason why you're going through these tough times is because you're very strong internally, you have the strength, you have the ability, you have the resources, if you tap into them, to overcome this. And when we do overcome this, everybody that I met, when I asked them, what is your top peak experiences in life? And it's always about overcoming some tough situations or tough, obstacles in life, and becoming a better person in the process, and learning and growing. And so that's what happened to me. And I kind of combined my experience of going through this whole process, and being a very emotional person in general. I was born quite emotional and sensitive. So for me to master emotions is, I'm thinking, if I can do it, anybody can do it. So that's why the book came about.
Brilliant. Yeah. And you believe everyone can make a change. In fact, I've got a quote on my vision board for this year, which is, anyone can change everything. So what do you think stops us actually making changes in our life?
Everyone can change anything. Can I ask you first why you chose that particular quote for yourself or for your vision board?
Because I think sometimes we forget that we're in charge of our future and our lives. We think, well, somebody else can do that, or I need to make a change, but I'm not ready yet. But we need to make change. We need to go through changes throughout our whole life to become what we want to be. So it's to remind myself, that I can change even something small, but it could change everything that's going on around me. So, it doesn't need to be a big move, but I can make something small change, and
because exponentially it gets.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree with you in that quote. And the important thing, in my opinion, to understand here is that we are constantly creating change. Whether we make a decision to change something, or we make a decision not to take any actions, every single decision, even every single intention, creates change. So regardless whether, a lot of people are scared to make decisions. And so they choose to stay within the comfort zone. Even when the comfort zone is painful, the unknown to them is a lot more painful and scary. They're still creating change. They're still affecting everything that happens to them and around them. So that this is very important that you brought this up for people to understand that no matter what you do, you are creating something. You are creating a change. So the idea here is to think in terms of consequences. If I make this decision, what would be the consequences? If I don't make this decision, what would be the consequences? I don't believe in right or wrong decisions, to be honest. It's all about the consequences that you want to experience. Are these consequences bringing you closer to your ideal life, to what you want to live, or taking you away from it? Every time we make a decision based on fear, it keeps you back. It keeps you from living the life you can be living. Every time you make a decision because you deserve something better and you want to experience a certain quality of life that maybe you're not experiencing at the moment, and you make a brave decision, even you can be so scared. Like in my situation, for example, was the breakup of my marriage. I read a quote and it said, if you're really scared to lose something, lose it and don't be scared anymore. And to be honest, I was just really tired to live in fear. I was living in this constant fear to be, like I said, to be abandoned or to be left alone. Like this dependency that I felt within the relationship. And so I decided I don't want to be scared anymore. And I made the decision to move away from that and to rediscover who I am again. And because I kind of lost myself in that relationship. And that was scary, really scary, difficult, but the best thing I've done for myself. Seriously, I mean, the last few years were the happiest of my life. That's actually another reason why I look younger, because I don't live in that place of fear. Fear really brings us down. The topic of fear is my favorite because, I made the decision then to actually do the things I fear, because it helps you with your self-confidence. It helps you understand that actually you're capable of so much more than you think you're capable, and it really opens up the whole world, the boundaries. Like you every time you face the things that you fear, you widening your own boundaries, and your life just opens up in a whole different way to you.
Yeah. My husband and I have something that we do when we're facing something that we're not that happy about. We look in the mirror and say, what's the worst that could happen? And normally the worst isn't as bad as you fear it's going to be. So,
Mhm.
but we all have these irrational fears that it's going to be, life changing and horrendous. When in reality, those fears are never really as big as we make them out to be in our head.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
mostly the fear of unknown. People are very scared of the unknown because they're scared to lose control, and wanting control is one of the human needs. We want to be in control. The minute we're stepping out of into the unknown, we're vulnerable.
yeah,
Nobody likes to be vulnerable.
no,
So
yeah,
that's the main reason, yes, why people fear. But that's the only way to grow, is to step out of your comfort zone, to expand your comfort zone. Not too far. You have to do it gradually.
yeah,
You don't want to go, like 30% out. You want to go 5% out, make it your new comfort zone, take another 5%. One of the reasons why people get burned or fail is because they jump too much, like they
right,
go too far.
yeah,
Better gradually and consistently. That's the best way to change things.
yeah. And you've gone outside of your comfort zone with ballroom dancing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, really.
So what
That's
difference has dancing made to your life?
Well, dancing is something I'm very passionate about. It's something that feeds my soul. Like I think everybody has something that feeds their soul. Somebody likes to paint, somebody likes to sing, somebody loves to dance. And unfortunately, a lot of the time we say, oh, I wish I could do this, but now's not the time. I can't afford it. I don't have enough time. I need to focus on this. I need to earn money. And so we postpone the things that actually makes us feel alive, that makes us feel, it brings us joy and happiness. And that's, I must say, the wrong approach to life. You got to put those things, and I would say especially for women, especially for women, it's
Yeah,
extremely important to do the things that we love to do, the things that feed our soul, the things that make us feel fulfill us. Yes, because it's only when we feel full that we can give. So we need to do those things, and dancing is one of those things. And I'm guilty to say that because I was raising 3 children and career and everything, I was like, I don't have time for this, and there's more important things to spend money on. But eventually I said, no, I have to dance. I come from a dancing background. I used to teach dance for many years, and I dance professionally. But after the second child, I kind of stopped because I didn't have the time. And then, so I would say, I think it was 5 years ago, I went back and I started dancing again. Oh my God, I just, it really, I can't describe it. When you do something that makes you happy, it just exponentially makes everything better, and your life just becomes better.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So who's one person that you would love to waltz with, and why?
Oh, that's such a nice question. All right. Can I say 3 people?
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
the first person that came to mind is, for some reason, John Travolta. I used to be a big fan. Used to be, I mean, I still like him, but I had the crush on him before. I met him, by the way.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, when I was in Miami, and I was trying to do all kinds of jobs, to put myself through college, and because at refugees we came with nothing, so I was working 2-3 jobs, and I used to do some extras in movies or modeling. And initially I didn't speak any English, so I got hired as an extra, but I didn't really understand much English at the time. So when they told all the extras to go from a place A to a place B, I didn't understand. I kind of got lost on a set, and I ended up in a room with John Travolta by mistake. And he was there, like going over his lines, and then he looked at me like, "Who is she?" I'll never forget that look, like, of surprise. And then somebody came and kind of ushered me out. But since then I was really following his career closely, and of course he's an incredible dancer. So yes, so I would say John Travolta. Another one, I would say, I'd like to waltz with my future husband at my wedding, and my son at his wedding.
Oh, lovely. Very nice. So which 1 minute plant manager do you have planned next? 1 minute coach. Have you got a title? Do you know what topic you're going to cover?
I keep getting different ideas, but the topic that I find very fascinating and exciting, and that I'm really passionate about at the moment, it has to do always this femininity, feminine energy, how to basically the name I want to use is Unleash the Goddess Within. Yeah, that's what it is. The 1-minute coach to unleashing the goddess within. Because there's women are very powerful creatures, and we don't use our powers at all, like hardly. And I want to teach women how to use those powers to, you know, for themselves and their little tribes, their families, the people they love, the world. You know, this. If we can tap into this feminine energy and use it properly, it's very powerful.
Sounds like a very powerful book. I look forward to seeing that one. We're going to have a very quick fire round now.
Okay.
Business book. Which one are you currently reading, and number one thing that you've learned?
The one I'm reading is right now is called, I'll read the title. Sorry, where is it? Oh, it's here. It's called Becoming Supernatural. Becoming Supernatural, How Common People Are Doing the Uncommon. It's by Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Okay.
And it's absolutely life-changing because from a scientific point of view, he explains how by tapping into certain emotions, we can actually influence our DNA and the whole body. This is how people heal themselves, you know, in a holistic way, you know, but he explains how the DNA is affected when we use or tap into certain emotions. And of course, it goes hand in hand with what I'm teaching. So it's really, really interesting to me.
It sounds very interesting. I read an article once about how people during the First World War ended up changing their DNA because of all the trauma they went through. So it sounds like a really interesting book. Okay, I'll add that one to my wish list. Best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Okay. You know, there's two that come to mind, and I think that they're both extremely important. They both turned my life. One is that we're responsible for our lives, which is actually how you started this interview. That being responsible for my life to me was a huge thing, because that eliminates judgment, blame, all these things that we. Not just people, but also circumstances. It eliminates the feeling of being a victim or feeling victimized, which is a very low vibrational emotion. So it's, to me, it's a very empowering belief to know that it's up to me how I experience my life and what I'm attracting into my life. And the second one was also very powerful, is has to do with the emotion of guilt. And I don't know if I was brought up, you know, sometimes people, parents subconsciously or unconsciously, I should say unconsciously, raise their children with the feeling of guilt. You know, that's how they make them do what, they manipulate their kids. Possibly I grew up with that. I'm not blaming anybody. That's not important. The important thing is when I came across that information, I was feeling guilty about everything, even the weather. Somehow I found a reason to feel like it's my fault or something. So when I read, I can't remember where it came from, that don't allow anyone to make you feel guilty, including yourself, ever again, because it's just a useless emotion. It was a big deal. And it took some time, because also you attract the kind of people into your life that operate on guilt trips and make you feel guilty, and you take it because that's what you attract, because that's what you feel. It's an emotion that lives in you. So even the people around me, when I stopped accepting guilt trips, and I said, no, I don't deserve, this is wrong, you're not going to tell me those things. It was surprising to them as well, because they weren't used to it. But eventually, if you do not allow those things into your life, they stop happening. So that was another big.
Yeah, amazing. Favorite quote and why?
Yes, this one is easy, because it's like my motto. It's, people will forget what you say, people will forget what you do, but people will never forget how you make them feel. This is by Maya Angelou. And I love that quote because it has to do with, walking the walk, talking the talk, is leading by example. It kind of falls into that. And I totally agree with it. That's why also when I conduct my seminars or coaching session or workshops, it's not about piling information on somebody. It's about inspiring. It's about creating this emotion of hope and excitement and passion for whatever they want to achieve, and then allowing them, kind of drawing it out of them, the information that they need to achieve those things. Because we all know what we might not know consciously. I help people discover that, to bring it to the surface, I should say. And then I help them already within them to achieve that. So yes, it is about how we make people feel.
Yeah. Right, so I'm waving my magic wand and giving you one wish for your business. What would you wish for, or what are you daydreaming about?
Probably my answer would not be very interesting, because I think anybody who is an author might say the same thing. But the truth is that would be something I would ask a magic wand. And that is for Oprah to discover my book and put it on her list of, top reading list for the summer or something like that. I mean, because that would be, that's what I would wish for.
Okay, well, we hope she's listening to this and she's decided that's what she's going to do.
Yeah,
Something,
that would be nice.
Final question, something you will achieve over the summer?
My focus right now is actually on public speaking, and I have this vision, this dream as well, to be on TED Talk.
Okay.
So I want to learn as much as possible about high quality talks, and I want to design a talk that is worthy of being on TED Talk, and then find opportunities to do that. So that's my goal for the summer.
Beautiful. Well, we look forward to seeing you on a TED Talk very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Masha Malka, for your time today. Look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun.
Good.